Hey, welcome in everybody to another edition of Pink's Show. Um, the feedback on the show has been fantastic. I'm trying to do a little bit better about staying on it weekly with the help of my man Zach, of course. So really appreciate everybody's kind words of encouragement on the show, and I'm going to keep it going, man. And eventually, by the end of this off season, we will have walked through every USF game that I can get my hands on. We will have walked through all the Auburn games again. I know y'all are excited for that. Um, and hopefully talked about everything that's on your mind. And sometimes I'll take questions. We'll do it. I mean, the options are limitless on this show. That's my goal here. Of course, we're always going to have the film going. So today, I'm going to, on this show, I'm going to talk. We're going to take a break from the game film and go to individual player film, which we should have a lot of that. My specialty is lines of scrimmage. Past that, maybe linebackers. I can do running backs for sure. Quarterbacks, I'll mess around with that. I know enough to, do some film on quarterbacks. Receivers, ain't touching that. DBs, ain't touching that. Pretty much going to stay with the positions I know to break down. Today, we're going to talk about Cody Sigler, who's been getting a lot of buzz at practice lately. From the headman himself, Alex Golesh, talked about him Tuesday. And then we're going to talk about Chris Murray, who is now back with the Tigers. Big addition. Talk about why that is. Also, going to talk about spring practice. I got to be with the defense this week. I was with the offense last week. Me and Caleb Jones switched it up. He went offense. I went defense this week. Wanted to get a feel for that. Boy, a lot of new numbers. Roster was right here all day. Who's that guy? So trying to get a feel for that, but I like to watch coaches. I want to see what they're doing and maybe learn from them, hear what they're saying. I want to hear the words. I want to hear exactly what they're saying on that. First coach that got me was DeMarcus Van Dyke. I'm going to quote him here. He said, "Grass is green, sky is blue. What the hell you going to do?" He said that to somebody. I was like, I like that. Had to write it down. And he kept repeating it all throughout practice. Coach Coleman Hutzler, have not been around him much, met him in person 2 or 3 times now and had short, brief conversations with him. I love everything about him so far from talking to him one-on-one and now watching him one-on-one. Watching him in practice. I'm like, this guy, this is the first person I've seen give Vontrell King Williams a run for his money when it comes to having a booming voice that you just hear across the football field. Like, dude, you can be standing anywhere and you can hear Coleman Hutzler's voice. I mean, it's neck and neck between him and Vontrell King Williams on who's got the loudest voice. I'm not sure. So I got to hear a lot from him today. And interestingly, during the individual period, which they spend a good portion of time on, I'd say 15, 20 minutes, maybe 15. He didn't really he put the edges through the bag drills, which is like a slalom basically, where they're dipping and getting through one bag and then going through the other one with the other shoulder and dipping the other shoulder. So working on agility basically in tight space, dipping the shoulder, working on that. And he ran through that, and then he started really just getting steps in, like almost a walkthrough and talking through everything. He wanted to like pull it back a little bit. Maybe reps are not quite as important today. Maybe there's a couple things we need to talk about. That was what I saw. So he used that time period, which is, I guess, up to him how he wants to use it for, let's get a few things straight, right? So I really, again, goes right back to what we've been saying. This is how they do things. They're very intentional was the word I got from insiders today. I'll give you some inside information. We'll get to that. Obviously, this is inside information. I'm going to give you some inside information from a few people that were at practice after the media got kicked out. A couple things, nothing crazy. I'm not going to go too far with some of the things I heard. I'm going to tell you a couple of the little chirps I heard coming out of practice. And I confirmed a few of them. So, let's see. Okay, so I wanted to point out, if you look at the edge group, if you walked out there and you had no idea who any of those guys were, you would immediately go, "Whoa, JJ Falk, good gracious. That guy is the alpha, and it's not even close. It's close, but it's not. I mean, you can tell he's the one that catches your eye first and foremost, and it's just like his brother. His brother did the same thing. He had that look. He was just different. Okay, JJ is built like that. He's a little more compact than Keldrick. Keldrick's got a little more length than JJ, but JJ is like a truck right now. I mean, I think he's about 6'4", 250, 245. He's got to be. He is solid as a rock, and I think it's time that he's going to make some noise. I haven't heard that much about him, but I think as this spring practice goes on, you get into fall, I think he starts making some noise. He's got the look, man. The smallest of the group is Joe Phillips, and he's not small, but he's a little undersized. Not tall. He's probably just under 6'2", right at 6'2". So compared to all the 6'4s and the 6'5s in Jared Smith's case, he's about 6'6". He looks a little smaller. He looks like the smallest of the group, but he was getting some, I think, valuable reps on Thursday. I think he's right now running with the twos based on what I saw, which of course is unofficial. And if you read my practice report on the defense, I made that clear. I put a disclaimer out there, which seems to never, ever get read. These are not official lineups. These are simply who we saw go out with the first group, second group, and third group. Okay. But it's always worth noting. I'm not sitting here saying this is your set in stone starters, but it's always worth noting who goes out with the first group. Always. That will always be the case. And this was your first group on Thursday. Nate Johnson and Deshaun Womack were your edges, both in stand-up positions, by the way. Did not see a 5 technique with their hand on the ground today, at least in those sessions. And this was 11 on air, basically, against a formation. They were sending them off to the sideline, running them onto the field as a group of 11 and making them line up against an offense that was put together by assistants, putting different formations in front of them and going fast, like they're going tempo. They have to line up to it. There was one miscue on that. And it was Darion Smith, who was with the first team today at 3 technique. Darion Smith. Dallas Walker was your nose. Linebackers, Elijah Melendez, Xavier Atkins. I think those are set in stone. I'll go ahead and make that prediction today. Feel great about that. Eric Winters and Anquan Fagans were your safeties. That could be the case. I think Caleb Harris is probably still your starter. He was with the second group, but I think he's probably your starter. Those two will play just as much as him, though. I would probably set in stone that Sylvester Smith is your starting nickel. He was there today. And then your corners in this group, Darren Jenkins and Andre Jordan. So I think Andre Jordan is pretty much set in stone. And then the other groups, it's kind of a mixed bag, so won't even walk through that. But a couple of inside things that I learned talking to a few people who got to watch the entire practice. Tristan Tia, I believe, threw an interception, and it was picked off by freshman Adam Balagoon Ali. Goon, you know as Goon is what they call him. I actually confirmed that. He said he did intercept the ball at practice. Talked to him as he was walking out. And I believe there was a long touchdown catch for Bryce Kane. Now, I don't know what they were doing in these drills, so don't go crazy with this information. Just a couple of things that happened today. But at the same time, I think everything they do is pretty structured. If they're calling it a touchdown or if they're calling it an interception and whatever, I'd say that they were probably getting after it. So it means something, but it's not something to write home about probably. Just good information. A little fight scuffle broke out between a receiver and DB. I think that's just what you get when you have a lot of competition. Perfect. Love to hear that. Some notes on the offensive line, thanks to Caleb Jones. Man, I thought he did a good job with that today. Trying to dig into what that 2 deep looks like. Joe Simmons was getting work at mostly right tackle, but I wouldn't count him out for left tackle because Stanton Ramil's out, but probably again right tackle's where he's going to be. Ty Buster was with the ones at left tackle, both in our media viewing and later on when we were not out there. And Derek Plaz was with the ones. The ones you probably know about, Cole Skinner and Cole Best, they were also with the ones. And Derek Plaz was at left guard, I believe. Joe Simmons at right tackle. Ty Buster at left tackle. That's probably not what it's going to look like. I think Stanton Ramil is going to be your left tackle when he's healthy. But it means a lot to me. They're working on Ty Buster. I think they love Ty Buster. That's been the buzz I've heard. The previous staff loved Ty Buster. I think bottom line here, Ty Buster's a good offensive lineman. I think he's going to be a good one. I think they're working him in with the ones, giving him that experience in practice, those crucial reps with the first group, and he'll be ready to go in the fall. I think he could even have a role. Wouldn't count him out. And I saw him at the facility for a long time after practice. I think he was watching film of practice of said reps. So you like to hear that. You like to see that. Saw all the USF guys. Boy, they just kind of hang around the facility like they live there. Good stuff. Love to see Derek Plaz with the ones. That's everything you've probably read from us. He's one of the ones that stands out from a look perspective, off the hoof, whatever you want to call that. You go out there, you look at the group, maybe you know nothing about them. You'd go, hey, 52, that's Derek Plaz. That guy looks legit. Okay, I think he is. Not going to have a lot of experience, not going to have hardly any experience, but could easily win one of those guard spots. Don't count Jacoby Ward out. I think he's in the two deep. Heard that Wilson Zierer and Caleb Jones saw this as well during our media window. Wilson Zierer, the freshman, working at one of the tackles in the two deep. Good for him. I've heard a lot of good buzz about Wilson Zierer. Of the freshman offensive linemen so far, I've heard probably the most about him. Next would be Parker Dooley Pritchett, who I think they like a lot too. So a couple of insider things there. And of course, Justin and I, you probably watched that show by now. We talked about at the end of practice when the media was let back out to speak to players after practice, there was a everybody up moment where Alex Golish called the team back up or at the end of practice, which may be what he does every practice. I don't know. I've never seen the end of practice until Thursday. And he gave him a talking to. It was not the nicest talking to. It sounded a little. His voice was a little elevated. Couldn't really make out everything that he was saying. They were on the other side of the field, but a couple things were along the lines of we're not. We have to get everybody on the same page. We have to get this player led, and you know, I used to hear that from coaches. I heard player led, and I go, well, I don't know if I like that player led. Is that really what we want? I mean, you need a good leader or whatever. The point is, and as I've gotten older and learned about it and been in a system that understood it, you start to become a force when every single person on your football team is a leader and not a follower, right? This is why he keeps calling out guys like Jeremiah Cobb. He sent Jeremiah Cobb and Elijah Melendez to the media to speak because he's testing them. He's putting them in front of the media. He's now called them both out and said, look, both of these guys are leaders by example, which we've heard before. Hey, he's just a leader by example. Cool. Golis goes, no, that's bullcrap. You don't do that. You lead with your voice. Everybody does. Everybody here is going to do it that way. You don't get to choose the way you do it. I choose. I like that. Let's get you out of your comfort zone, Jeremiah Cobb. Let's get you out of your comfort zone, Elijah Melendez. So, I mean, that again, intentional. There's that word. Pushing them to the media today. I think it's intentional. Which brings me to a rant, and I will make it short, Zach. I promise. It's really, really sad to me. It's sad that we're having to talk about it this way. The things we're saying, intentional, small details. Everything's, very detailed. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's football. This is an unforgiving sport. Okay, unforgiving. It's like what's like cooking a pork chop, right? It's unforgiving. You can't. There's not a lot of fat on the pork chop. You can make it dry really quick. It's unforgiving. That's what this sport is. You can't mess around. Okay, in football, if you become soft, football will expose you. It is no wonder Indiana, Miami, some of these teams that are playing bully ball are whipping people. It's no surprise to me whatsoever because some of the things I've seen at Auburn where politics take over and politics say, well, we spent a lot of money on this guy. So I guess he needs 10 touches a game. And, we spent a lot of money on this guy, so we don't need to piss him off at practice because he might leave. Loser. You want to lose? Do that. Sometimes talent can outweigh those things, and that's where Freeze was trying to get Auburn's football team to. It was going to take too long. Maybe one day he could achieve it. He didn't have that kind of talent. You cannot be soft in this game. And to me, this is my opinion. Maybe everyone doesn't share it, and that's okay. Playing this politics game, like I just described, is soft. It's a great way for somebody to come into your stadium and embarrass you, which is exactly what's happened at Auburn for the past couple of years. In fact, Auburn's been worse at home than they have on the road. Explain that. You got one of the best atmospheres in college football and you're worse? How does that make sense? Okay, Goose Fraba. I'm done with that. You get what I'm saying. It's no wonder there's a lot of people now that are going, you know what? Let's not forget what this game's all about. You know what? We're not punting talent. We have to have it. We're gonna get it, but we're gonna develop. We're going to get the right things right, and we're not gonna allow things that shouldn't be allowed. We're not going to pander. We're not going to play politics. We're not. That's what's got to happen for Auburn to get turned around from a culture standpoint. We've all talked about it. Everybody in the media's talked about it. Oh, man, everybody talks about the culture. And it's so cliche, and you hear it, and you almost – if you're a consumer of our content, you probably hear it, and you're like, okay, yeah, culture, yeah, whatever. I got it. There you go. I walked it out for you. That's how they're going to flip it. That's what they're trying to do. Rant over. Let's get to some film. Let's start with Chris Murray. Auburn just got Chris Murray back. Is that a big deal? I say it is a very good deal. Is it a monster deal? I wouldn't say it's a monster deal. I would say it's a very good thing for Auburn. You got a player back who – all right, so like the past – like 5 years of Auburn football, there's been this one guy every year who leaves Auburn either early or unfortunately graduates when you're like, man, he was just getting there. Mosiah Nasilikite, Eku Leota, Jeff Holland. Man, it's a long list. There's others. Who else could have been in that category? You get my point. These are guys that could have come back for another year at Auburn, or maybe were brought in for 1 year and then it got hurt. And you could see they were making a difference. And then they're gone, just like that. And you don't get anything out of them almost. Jeff Holland's a little different. He had that big year and then he left, go pro, didn't even get drafted. That kind of hurts. Like, I don't like that. I wish that didn't happen. Well, now, the way things are, I guess you just can get another year of eligibility. Whatever. I'm not going to try to understand that. I don't have Alan Head tonight. So Auburn gets Chris Murray back. Usually Auburn loses this guy. Hey, Chris Murray, he was pretty good last year. He was coming on strong. Boy, he would help this team, and he's gone. right? Marcus Harris, I think that was another one that left early. And he got drafted, but he could have come back and really been a force. All right, so you get Chris Murray back. Let's watch. What does he bring? What's he bring to the table? I graded him in this game. Let's see. Okay. Chris Murray. He is number 3 on the film here. I believe he's lined up right here on this play. Let's see. Yeah, number 3. All right, this is a screen. I like this off the bat. This is one of the first plays of the game against Oklahoma this year. One of Chris Murray's better games. Here he is right here. All right, see that? He sniffed it out. Now, he doesn't make the play. I'm not going to make you watch this play again. But he sniffs it out. I like the awareness there for your edge, a guy that sometimes plays in a stand-up position, right? Okay. Just wanted to show that little football IQ there from Chris Murray. Here's another football IQ play. Chris Murray. Let's see. Let's see if I can keep the spotlight on him. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Right here. This is a reverse for Oklahoma. They're going to run a reverse. He gets off the block, stays at home. He's going to run it down. Very good. Very good. Football IQ. Important. It's important for your edges. They got to know, they got to have some awareness. In that case, if he keeps playing down the line and gets duped, that play has a chance. Of course, Sylvester Smith made a good play on it, but he was there too, and that's important. All right. This is a good win for him with the bull rush. I want to make a note of the matchups here. We talk a lot about stars. Well, let's put it to the test. Let's put it to the test. Here's Chris Murray right here. He's going to get a bull rush on Logan Howland, the left tackle for Oklahoma. Nice. Let's back it up. All right. Chris Murray right here. I want you to look at the get off first. Pretty good. Not great. Pretty good. He's sort of on a wide here, so he's going to meet the guy late, make contact. All right, let's see. Get off right here. Nice. Good hands. He's got separation. The offensive lineman does not have hands on him. And then inside, and then he causes a little bit of a rush on John Mateer right there. Just enough. That's all it takes. Those are big plays. Pressure. Give him a pressure on this play. Nice. Even gets a hand on him. Perfect. You'll take that all day. That's a big play. All right. All right. This was a minus for me. Just not great on the twist. Murray's right here. He's twisting. All right. Right here, he gets stalemated on the twist. Falk goes outside. He comes inside right here. He's just losing right here because at this point, you got to get hands off of you, right? If that guy locks up with you, you should be fighting like an animal to get those hands off. Now they're caging a little bit because they know that this guy can take off and run through the lanes, which are created here. You can see a lane right here, and Murray's trying not to lose any gap integrity. He's going to try to bull rush through this so he can play off into each of these gaps. I understand that, but you got to make some kind of pressure here. You cannot stalemate. That's the last thing that can happen, and he gets stalemated right there. So again, I'm showing you some of the bad reps too because he's not perfect all the time. Now, I would call that a win right there by the center. I'm about to be a real jerk right here. I'm just going to be honest. Everybody wants to talk about stars, right? Who just won that single matchup? There's single matchups happening on every play across the board that you don't ever know about, and they're happening on every play. On this play, that was Chris Murray versus Jake Makula. Jake Makula was a 3-star. 85.90 was his rating out of high school. Chris Murray, in case you didn't know, 4-star, 89.28. So in this case, 3-star beats a 4-star. How often does that happen? We'll talk about it. On this play over here, it was a win for Chris Murray, which was a 4-star versus a 3-star. So that's a win for the higher rated guy. Of course, Logan Howland and Chris Murray were pretty close. He was a 4-star on Rivals. So really close on that one. It's almost an even matchup. Now, you might go, Cole, that was their high school ranking, dude. Okay, so what you're telling me is you don't care about blue chip percentage because blue chip percentage is based off of high school ranking. Well, maybe it's based off a transfer portal. So you're telling me after all this ranting and raving about stars all these years, the rankings people get another chance on the transfer portal and they slap a new ranking on them after they got it right or wrong as a high school guy? I ain't playing that game. Let's talk about their high school rating. That was the initial ranking that we're seemingly basing everything off of, right? That's what I mean by I'm going to be a jerk about this. That's what I'm going to base it off of tonight. That's what I'm going to do. So I will point out those. And man, a lot of people in this thread were like, dude, why are you showing this game? Hey, stay on lesson, okay? We're learning. We're not here to worry about Auburn losing the football game. We're here to learn how Auburn can get better, okay? That's what we're doing here. I think I gave Chris Murray a minus on this one, and it's a tough one. And I want to talk through it and give him a little credit because it's not a bad rush at all. It's not terrible. Chris is up top right here. Okay. Right here. This is him going against, I believe, Derek Simmons, who was unranked coming out of high school, went to like a D3 school or a JUCO, something of that nature. All right, let's talk get off. Great get off. He beats everybody off the line. Perfect. Good outside rush. He's got the guy. He's got a chance to beat him. Then he gets redirected out of the pocket. So I gave a minus for this, which is a tough grade, I will admit. One more time. For some reason, it's going back 10 seconds instead of 5. I apologize. Something's different about this little video player. Right there, he loses. When he gets worked out, how do you fix this? Right? You have to work back. They run the hoop at practice. This is what they do. There's literally a hula hoop on the ground, basically. And they keep the circle. They stay as tight as they can to the hula hoop. And they run it with their ear to the ground, basically, and run around that hoop. Okay. And the point of that is to learn awareness of where you are so that you don't rush too far outside when you commit to that. So in this case, right here, Chris Murray's got to know I got to dig that shoulder down into this guy and not let him root me out of my path. Okay. His path should still be coming around the hoop. Let me draw it. In this case, this would be the hoop, right? So he's working around that curve right here. But that's not what happens. He gets worked out right there, and now he's got no chance. If he keeps working that hoop, he might affect this a little bit. So just a minor detail that he's got to fix. I would call that a win by Oklahoma's right tackle. An unranked player versus a 4-star wins that single matchup. All right. And I'm showing some of the bad reps, and not bad, but some of the reps where he's not perfect, just to show you what you're getting here with Chris Murray. So I had a lot to say about this rep. He is on the bottom this time. Again, I apologize. It goes back a little farther than I want it to. Right here, just so you know. Great get off. Once again, look at this get off. He's already well above, and Oklahoma's tempoing them, so they got lined up late. So I'm very impressed with this get off. Nice. And he's making contact. Stalemate. All right. Right here at this point, I'm going to pause it when I get there. All right. Get off. Pause. All right. Once you get right here, now he's playing contain. He cannot let Mateer get outside of him. He's got to use those hands. He's got hands on that offensive lineman. He's got to throw. He's got to keep working outside. And as soon as that offensive lineman gets his hat across him, throw him. You've got him. You've got Mateer cornered at this point to where you can bear down on him. You pretty much got contained, but you can't let that offensive lineman work you. Right? So, again, it's a finish. Start of this rep is fantastic. I love this jump. I like the rush. All right here, throw. They end up getting it. Blake Woodby comes in there. Crazy enough. I bet you don't remember Blake Woodby having a hand on a sack last year, but he did on a safety blitz. But you see what I'm saying here. You get to that point, now you've got to get hands off. We're going to watch Cody Sigler in a minute. He's fantastic at it. Get the hands off. A little bit faster. Finish that rep. So that's why I said on a show the other night, Chris Murray's a really good pocket closer, not a great finisher yet. I'm hoping that gets better this season, working with – and I think he took a step up from what he was at Sam Houston as a starter of these pass rushes under Rock Bellantoni. I want to see what Coleman Hutzler can do with him. By the way, that was Chris Murray, a 4-star versus Logan Howland, a 3-star. I would say Howland got the better of him, but it was pretty close. It was really kind of even there. Really, Murray just needs to finish a little bit better. Bad get off here. He played a good amount of snaps on this drive. They were tempoing. Not a good get off. I mean, look, if he gets a better get off the line, he's right here. Right here. If he gets a better get off, he's in this play. Look how close. The get off messes him up. So this time he starts the rep bad. Just a little slow, sluggish. You saw how good he got off on the other plays. That is not the same level of intensity. That's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. Can't be tired. Can't be sluggish. Can't lose intensity. If he has the same level of intensity on this play, he affects that quarterback, and this play don't happen. Now, I think it comes back because of a pick play, but you get what I'm saying. Can't lose it. I know you're tired. You can't be tired. All right, right here. This is a big win for Chris Murray, a former 4-star, versus Derek Simmons, unranked in high school. Told you I'm going to stay on it. All right, Chris is at the bottom of your screen this time. Right here. Right here. He's on a wide technique. Definite pass rush situation, 3rd and 10. Nice little head fake. Get off the block. Cause chaos. Him and Kieron Crawford both got in there. At the same time, it was a meeting at the quarterback. Nice. Crawford's the one that gets him, but Murray flushes and rushes. Flushes and rushes. So that's a good win right there for Murray. And it's a little head fake. Chris Murray's a big guy. He looks more like an end than an edge to me. I mean, he's probably 255, about 6'4". So I like to see that he's got some agility here and some shake. Right here, head fake. Nice. Get the hands outside. Now you commit to the outside rush. You got it. Love that play. That's a really good rush right there. All right, in this case, he's containing. So you have to keep contained. We've seen so many times when Auburn did not contain the quarterback and it killed him. So they're working on that here. That was an emphasis. Murray's right here. Contain means he's going to stay on the outside shoulder and not allow anything outside of him. So he's working that here. Now, just because you're playing contain doesn't mean you can't close the pocket. In fact, you got to do both. It's not the easiest ask in the world, but it has to be done if you want to cause disruption. So right here, It's just not enough. You're stumbling a little bit. You got to be more intentional with your push inside. I know what he's doing. He's following his rule, but get some closure on that pocket at the same time. That makes your contain a lot easier too. Don't just stand straight up with the guy. Get some push. He's got the length to do it. This is, these are just some small things I think that they'll work on with him. So not the greatest rep on this one. That's unranked Derek Simmons versus industry 4-star Chris Murray. I'd give Derek Simmons the nod right there. Individual matchups, man. That's what the game comes down to. Another win, I'd say. As an edge rusher, you're just not going to win them all. Okay. If you get over 50% on a grade of pass rush and you affected a little over 50% of every pass rush you were in, that's big, right? If you got a guy that affects 1 out of 2 pass rush reps, that's great. I'd say he grades around 50-ish here. I haven't put it all together with him yet, but that's about where he's at. So he had a pretty good game as a pass rusher. It's just, there's a lot of things he could do for it to be even better, even more effective. So he's right here in a stand-up position this time. And this isn't a terrible rep. Little late on the get off. Gets the outside. I think he's got contain handled pretty well. Just when you feel that tackle, I'll show you when it happens. Outside. Okay. He's starting to lose a little bit. He's lost his balance. His feet are in a terrible spot. He's holding because you got him. You've got a pretty good rush on him. You got to throw. At that point, you can draw a holding pretty quick. All of that. Now Oklahoma's getting the ball out really fast on these plays. There's just not much you can do. But again, I want to point out he's got some start and stop ability as a big guy. I mean, there's a lot to like about Chris Murray. This year, if he had entered the draft, would he have gotten drafted? I think no. But another year, you clean up a couple of these things, I think you got it. So I was going to show this one, but probably not. It's just another rep where he's just a little sluggish, maybe a little tired, loses intensity. It's not a terrible rush, but you can't lose it, right? I loved this rep. Let's show it. All right, he's at the top of your screen this time, right here. This is going to be an inside rush. So he's going to sort of bury down in here and bull his way that way to get this guy to step down to close the gap. When the guy steps down to close the gap, boom, I'm outside. And it's not that hard, but it's sort of an outside rush. It's an inside to outside. He duped him a little bit. All right. Inside. Now I'm out. You going to close me down? Nope. I got the outside now. Because he's pretty relentless on this pass rush. Watch his feet. Inside, feet are going. Contact, feet never stop. That's a great rep. Love that rep from Chris Murray right here. Feet never stop. All right. Slow get off. The get off's not good. Feet never stop. It should have been holding. I'm not sure if it was called holding. Probably should have been. He got him by the breastplate. All right. I'm in. Stepping you down. Now I'm out. And they get the ball out. They get a play, but that's a really, really good pass rush from Chris Murray. Here's another play that was good for him. Good hands. He is – oh, hang on. Right here. So he'll be at the top of your screen. I wrote good hands. Let's see what it looks like here. He's right here. Oh, yeah. It's a little stunt they ran here. He's going to shimmy inside and then throw that hand down and shoot that gap. Get that hand off of me. Good. Violent hand, quick hands. That gets you free. And it's a stunt, so he's going for the gap. He's not going through a guy necessarily. He's going through the B gap here. And that's a really good rush. He rushed it. Of course, they had that hot throw. I mean, they did a good job of that. But the point remains that was a good rush by Chris Murray. All right, that's it for Chris Murray. Let's talk about Cody Sigler. Cody Sigler's been getting a lot of press lately, especially from the big man himself, Alex Golish. So let's look at a game where he went against South Alabama, which is they went against Auburn, and Auburn didn't dominate South Alabama's offensive line. I'm about to show you Cody Sigler dominating South Alabama's line. When you watch Cody Sigler in this game, it's going to make you mad when you watch somebody that doesn't play with this effort. You're going to go, how could you see how a guy plays like this and then go play with half a effort? It'll just it bugs me. I almost lose sleep over it. I can't stand it. Watch the effort that you're about to see from Cody Sigler. All right, he lines up at 3 technique right here. Number 94. For those who don't know, he's 94 at Auburn as well. He's right here at 3, 94. He's going to fight through a double team. Ball goes away from him, but look at him put his nose into this double team and not get moved by 2 guys. Stays right down the line of scrimmage, maybe a half a yard, but that's a dang good job. Okay? If the ball's run at him, they got trouble. All right, this time we got a pass rush by Cody Sigler, and he's going to get doubled in this case right here. 94, he's in a – looks like maybe a 2, right, head up of the guard. All right, he's going to get doubled. Watch this. Relentless right through that double. Causes, quarterback has to take a check down. I don't know if that's exactly where he was going with it. Maybe he was. No, I think he had other options, but he had to let it go because 94 was just splitting that double team before he could do anything. Look at that. Throws that hand down, dips the shoulder just a little bit. They're never able to get hands on him. He splits right through the double team. They're watching that on film going, that wasn't very good. The offense, like, yeah, that's pretty bad. How do you let him do that? One of the best reps of the game right here by Cody Sigler. All right, Cody is right here. He's like in a 1 technique on the top there between guard and center. Look at this. One more time. There's Butch Jones. Violent hands, fights through it, makes the tackle. Let's watch it again. Not much I need to say. Look how violent. He takes on a single block. Like, dude, don't single block me. You lost your mind? I demand a double. All right. You probably already spotted him at this point. Just a good push on the pocket. He seems to always have some kind of effect on every play. He's not he's not going to make any great moves right here. Just going to push the pocket. Close it down on the quarterback right here. All right. Getting doubled. I'm just going to push it. Push you right into the quarterback. Again, they complete this ball, but, man, it kind of got rushed. The ball was a little weird. So, it's time clock. He's messing with your time clock when you start pushing the pocket and closing it like that. So, almost every play is like this. Let's see. He is right here this time. Gracious. Watch this. Not always making the plays, not always filling the stat sheet. Don't care. Making an impact. I got to watch it one more time. This is such a good rep. They never had a chance. they're trying to run power here, and the center's trying to block back on him. He can't. He's got no chance. Trying to block back on him. He's got to get his head across. No way. He's out of his stance like a rocket. All right. Excellent. Hadn't seen a bad rep yet. Here's another one where he just destroys a double team. Right here. He's going to get doubled. Nope. You're going to work right through that. They scored, but not because of Cody Sigler. Where's the backer, right? Backer's got to be there somewhere. Not his best get off on this play, but the hands are fantastic. Vontrell King-Williams is a stickler about hands in pass rush, and I'm going to tell you, he's going to love this right here. All right, right here. Not a great get off, sort of shakes a little bit, but then he throws hands off, right? One more time. Right here. All right, he gets separation. Now throw and rip, and he's on the quarterback quick. He had like 5 pressures in this game. That's a ton for an interior defensive lineman. I mean, a ton. All right, right here, they're on a stunt. I'm almost asking what can he not do at this point? So he can stunt too. Right here. He's going to, instead of going straight ahead, he's going to stunt. And I think he stunts into this A gap right here. Look at this. Dips that shoulder and just causes chaos. I mean, he's taking the offensive lineman with him. Essentially, this backer right here should be free, and he is. He takes on the lead blocker, and then they can make the play from there. If there's not a lead blocker there, the backer's walking right into the play with nothing, nothing there. No help for the back. He's meeting him head on. So that's what a defensive lineman, a really good defensive lineman can do for you right there. All right. These plays right here are just as good as sacks. He had 7 of them on the season. He's rushing from right here. Keep the spotlight on him this time. Pretty good rush. Not great. Good. Really good get off. Pushing and knocks it down at the line. Right? Celebrates. That's a huge play. That's on, was that 4th down? 3rd or 4th down. Here he is right here. Closer look. See the hands? You're not getting hands on me. A great defensive lineman gets mad when the offensive lineman gets hands. When he feels hands on him, he's ripping, he's clawing, he's fighting like he's a just a rabid animal. Like, you get your hands off of me. Look at this. He can't stand it when somebody's hands are on him. I love it. Get him off. Get him off. Now make a play. That's great stuff. Great stuff. He forced 4th down with that one. He'll have another play that he affects just like this, but later in the game, just as big, absolutely huge play. Here's one where he draws a holding. All right. I'm just walking through this. He's at one technique right here. He's going to stunt, fight across, holding, throw the flag. I mean, he is single-handedly wrecking their front. They're not being affected by it on every play, but they're starting to as this game goes on. They're starting to feel his presence, and it's really getting them. I graded that entire half. I gave 100% to his pass rush, 5 for 5. Shoot, man, that's fantastic. Run defense as an interior defensive lineman, 10 out of 13. That's 76%, almost 77. Fantastic. 83% in that first half. 83% as a 3 tech. 83% as a shade 1 technique. All right, here's a chance to see him try to get. They try to single block him instead of double him while he is in this shade again. right here. Let's see. Don't single him. He said, you can't single me. One more time. Right here. Blows him up. Holds him at the line of scrimmage. He gets off and goes and makes the play. It doesn't look that dominant, but it is. This guard has no chance of getting any movement on him whatsoever. Back has to find another way. I'm just loving what I'm seeing here. He's right here at the 1. Pass rush, not really getting there. Still getting that hand up. Just trying to find a way to affect the game always. This was a relentless play. Right here. Look at that. On the ground, fighting you. Look at it again. Shoot the gap. Inside is the stunt, slant, whatever you want to call that. His hands are so active. Get him off, get him off, get him off. I'm getting through the gap. And that quarterback's got to get rid of it fast once again. How many plays in this game did he cause that? Not a good rep this time. He's right here. Just takes it in the chest. Bad pad level. Just one of the reps that weren't very good in this game. And there weren't many. Figured I'd show one. Another twist he was in. You kind of get the picture at this point. It looks a lot like some of the others. Let me get to this last drive. I think this might be it. 3-tech bull rush. Look at this play, man. Just pulled up a random one. Right here. They're in lining everybody up. The mug look. He's against one guy. That's a mistake. You need to double this guy. That's what they get, though, when they line up with that mug look. They get him singled. And that guard's got no chance. He cannot get an anchor down. Again, the sack does not go to Cody Sigler, but he needs all the credit. Look at him push this pocket. He's the first one there by far. Gets his hands up, rushes the guy out of there. His teammate comes and cleans up. And then he hypes him up. I'm excited about this guy. This film makes me excited. Not what I've heard about him, not his portal ranking, not his ranking out of high school. This film makes me excited. A couple plays later, relentless. Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. I keep coming after you. You can't kill me. Takes a good angle, too. Right here. Blows it up. Just keeps fighting. There's so many plays where he's not going to get a stat that he is truly affecting the game. And I think we're on this last drive here. South Alabama drives it down there, and they got a chance to win this football game, and I mean easy, right? All right, here's Sigler right here. Jumps off sides. This was the big mistake. They get a free play out of it. Doesn't work. Big mistake for Sigler right there. Really the only mistake of the game for him. He's over aggressive. He's gonna try to time the snaps. He's gonna do some things like this at times. So you need to be aware of that because it could happen. It happened at a crucial time in the game, which is 4th and 3 with 4 minutes left. Arkansas State's down by 2, right? So he jumps off sides. They get a first down. I believe this is second down. Nope, first and goal. Sigler's right here. Fights across. Guess what? Holding. Holding on first and goal. Humongous play. All right, let's see it one more time. Right here. Shoots the gap, gets around him. The guy has to hold him to stop him, and they call it monster play. They get backed up 10 yards from there. I think it's still first and goal, but a huge play because they were knocking on the door to put the game on ice. And Cody Sigler gets the holding call. And that was pretty much the last play, I think. Then you have this play, third and goal, and he just, it doesn't have a huge impact on this play. Kind of gets turned, falls over his teammate. But they force fourth and goal. South Alabama kicks the field goal. Again, the holding play is what put them back. And look at this. They miss it. Spoiler, Arkansas State, with 1:52 on the clock, will go down there, kick a field goal, win the game 15-14. Tell me Cody Sigler didn't have a big hand in that. Literally. Huge impact he put on this game. All the ones I've watched of him so far, he's had this same impact. It's uncanny. He's going to impact the game in some way. It's fantastic. So I've become a huge fan. I've watched him at practice. I didn't really see him in some of the drill work today. I never caught him. He wasn't in the little team session they did. I call it. It's like the Tennessee drill that we used to do. I'm not sure what they call it, but that's what it looks like. Didn't see him in that portion. Not sure why. I don't think it means anything. I think you're looking at potentially him being a starter for this football team. If not a starter, a very key rotational guy. And then for Chris Murray, I showed a few more bad reps for him. Going against Oklahoma, it's a different level of competition. Oklahoma, not one of the better offensive lines in the SEC or that Auburn faced, in my opinion. They threw so many quick game throws in that game, hard for an edge rusher to really affect the game, especially one where he's lined up. We're in this wide technique all the time. But you see so much potential there. You see that he brings a punch with his pass rush. He can close the pocket. Sometimes he needs to finish better, but got a lot of ability. Got some shake as well for a big guy. So getting him back is a big deal. And then Cody Sigler, I think, is a huge, huge addition. So wanted to highlight those two guys on this edition of Pink's Show. Wanted to give just a little bit of inside info on practice, what I could pass along and what I know about. I really don't hold anything back. But hopefully you learn something from that and have some takeaways, because we're not getting much practice, guys. And I'll just be honest with you. They got sort of a closed trap on things. I'm not going to say, we still have a lot of access. I got to talk to a lot of recruits on Thursday. I know Jeffrey has been doing the same thing every day that he's been there doing that. So we're good on that front. But as far as on the field, the practice field, not getting nearly as much access as we did with Hugh Freeze. And you know what? That's cool. I'm cool with that. Don't bother me. I think that might be the move. Some of the teams that kind of limit the media access have been pretty good, so maybe there's something to it. Anyway, guys, I kept it at an hour today. That's impressive. I'm proud of myself today. Under an hour. So again, trying to keep these weekly. Keep the feedback coming. I love to hear it. If you got questions, we can start getting to some questions on here for all of our off-season content. We're going to need it because it's going to be a long off-season. We're having fun right now with spring practice. It's going to get quiet again after that ends until we get to fall. So hang in there. We got a long way to go. There's a lot to talk about between now and then. We'll talk about it here in the most unique way we can think of. That's the goal here. So hope you learned something. Appreciate you watching this show. And as always, never pass on a playmaker. See ya.